Hello and welcome everybody joining us today. I can see we've got people just jumping in as we speak. We'll give it a couple of moments for people to find their virtual seats. So today I'm very excited for this session we've got lined up. But before we jump in, for anyone that doesn't know me, I'm the founder here at Martech Alliance, and for today I'm going to be your moderator. Today's web sesh is on unlocking exceptional customer experience through your loyalty marketing program. And I want to start by saying a massive thank you to Snip, who are making this possible by sponsoring the event. But also joining me is Mario. Mario is VP of Sales EMEA for Snip Interactive. Welcome, Mario. Fantastic to have you with us today.
Hi, and thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, everybody, for attending the show.
So today, Mario is going to be chatting on increasing ROI and driving greater customer experience through loyalty marketing. The session will explore the role of data and technology in customer engagement in 2021 and beyond. Now, just before I hand over to Mario, just to say we're going to have 10 to 15 minutes Q&A at the end. That doesn't mean you need to wait. You can throw your questions in as you go, and please do. Mario has a wealth of experience in this space, so this is your opportunity to chat all things loyalty marketing. Jump in down the bottom there, the Q&A section, and start firing away with your questions. Also, just to say, after this, jump into LinkedIn, look up Mario and connect with him. He'll put out some great content in and around this space. So to learn more, he's a great person to be following. Right, with that, Mario, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Carlos, again, and thank you to all the attendants here. Let's try to make a very valuable session. Thank you for the introduction. Yes, I'm Mario. I've been working for the last 13 years within the loyalty, engagement, extending CRM business. So I hope I learned something and I have something to share with you. I'm actually working as a EMEA, so Europe, Middle East and Africa, responsible for the sales growth of Snip, a Canadian-based company of a MarTech SaaS platform for customer engagement, reward, and acquisition. So let's start right away with one concept that is a kind of a starting point of this conversation that is evolving along the next 35 minutes. With hold loyalty, I'm not actually pointing anything bad here. I'm just, as a matter of fact, following what the process I saw in the last 15 years in the evolution of engagement and loyalty practice. So at the beginning, just summarizing the easiest way, this program were mostly a mono-directional communication from the brand down to the clients. And typically the brand were treating us, clients, as a matter of fact, as person to increase their revenue stream. And so brand was mostly pointing to us, product, SKUs, offer, promotion, and the marketing activity was very more product-based than, as is absolutely now, much more member-based or member-centric. And the biggest part of the communication was about the transaction, was around the purchase activity. That is still one of the most important one, for sure, but it's not the unique one, I would say. And then the other concept was about KPIs. The most important KPI is the Uber one that is still very used, the point, where, just to make a summary, for every euro we were given a point, for every US dollar we were given a point, and then we were using this point that is a liability from the brand stance and is a value for exchange from our extent. We were entering in a catalog and eventually using such a point for discount, couponing, economical value. Again, nothing bad, nothing wrong. I still see many programs like this, but I name these old way of executing such a practices. So what the new way is, actually saying new is a kind of nonsense, because the innovation also supported by the technological evolution is changing, if not every day, every month for sure. So I have been seeing since the last years, 3, 4, 5 at least, much more talking less about loyalty, more about engagement, less about client, more about member. And these are summarizing the big shit that happened in the last years, where brands really started to put us at the very center of their marketing strategy and treating us not only as a client, meaning with client when we bring revenue, when we make a purchase, but as a member. That means becoming part of something, becoming part of a bigger concept that is around the product or the SKUs of the brand, and takes care about brand awareness, brand engagement, et cetera, other comments that we see in the next of this presentation. And the other main change is that the omni-channel paradigm. The interactions are not happening only on one specific channel, on few of these, but typically there is no interaction that is starting in a channel and stays on that channel for longer. And eventually we move from one channel to another one. That is the main for a brand to give an easy way for a member to interact with the brand, and to the brand support the concept of resiliency. So keeping the conversation high and sharing our data, our information in a different way, related to the best channel that we like to use in while talking to a brand. And all of this, at the end of the day, is about data. And if somebody is still asking me, what is the number one reason for a brand, the number one KPI for a brand to execute a loyalty program, an engagement program, or promotion, to me, the real answer is for collecting data, for gathering data out of the members' activity. Logically, every indirect activity then lends to increasing revenue and increasing awareness, etc. But the first direct return on investment is collecting points. And the way brands have been collecting points in the past has been changing very, very extensively, even more from and because of the last 18 months or couple of years pandemic situation, where brand moved from, okay, thank you for posting the first poll. We are gonna launch a couple of polls just to create a bit of interaction here. And so that's really about...
Mario. But we'll give people 10 or 20 seconds to jump in on that last one. I think there's a super interesting part there to pick up on. Where do people really sit right now? How many people are member-centric, product-centric, or a mix?
Absolutely. Thank you, Carlos, for that. And again, the main concept is really how much, and let's see the replies here, how much you believe, again, the member is the very center of your strategy and conversation, how much your zero-party data, so the data that the member is explicitly sharing with you, are relevant to your business. And actually, I like to see 1/3 is saying, I'm executing already client member-centric, but the 50% is saying a mix, because that's good. We are not saying that brands shouldn't talk anymore about product. There is a 15% of you are still very, very product-centric. Again, nothing bad. It just as a matter of fact, a kind of evolution that we see in the market. So I believe that this kind of reply is really aligned with my thinking, is aligned with the content of these slides here. So let's go for a couple of high-level questions, or let me say high-level feedback that we got and analysts are reporting coming from members, so coming from us. The topic number one is personalization. And in the last few years, we're hearing about individualization. That's much more and deeper concept than personalization, but at the end of the day means members like to receive personalized content. So we are sharing data. We are sharing zero-party data. We are being opt-in for years about first-party data. We want brand to use that data to become more personal, to become more contextual, to resonate more when they are dialoguing with us. That's a very, very important point. And we see different way of implementing this from the technological standpoint, well adopted by some brands. This one everybody knows, and I believe that most of us got a subscription with them or similar. Netflix is actually producing these techniques, thanks to which they name landing cars, thanks to which they are talking about the same content to different people, to different audience, to different segment, to different personas in a different way. So the way they display, the hardware they use for displaying a slice of a content of a given movie, show, etc., is different person to person. And I believe at the end of the day, besides being very effective, as a matter of fact, we like to see something we like to see. We like to see something that we share, we vote, we ranked, we commented to be something we like to consume, in this case, from Netflix as a content, as a movie. So again, both the party, brand and employee, brand and member, sorry, are gonna gaining from the fact of creating this personalization or individualization discussion and bidirectional communication between or among brands and members. Another very important topic that we saw getting very important even more in this last time, again, back for a second time to the pandemic situation, is social consciousness. Even more than before, as a member, we like to belong to something that we feel valuable, okay? So the membership ecosystem, and again, the shift from a brand treating us not just as a client, but as a member of something, member of a broader environment that is more than products, SKUs, okay, makes and create a more interesting and relevant communication with the brand. Many people are claiming they like to come back more frequently to dialogue and at the end of the day to transact with brands who have been showing some social consciousness. And brand can show and adapt this kind of concept in many ways. Can be the way they claim they are treating employees, can be the way they communicate with us, with the member of their CRM, newsletter, loyalty program, promotion, etc. Can be the program a given brand is partnering, is joining with other brands, other third parties with some kind of social consciousness and social matter. We as NIP, we're very keen of such a concept. So let me bring to your attention just one customer among others we are partnering with in North America, Constellation Brands, where they use already to make, to support military family in their branding, image branding communication. So we help them to build a sequences of programs, of promotions, where at the end of the day, as part of the give and get, in every marketing discussion, there is a give and get, the members were granted to use part of their rewarding to support charity donation to some specific organization supported by the brand. And I can tell you, for sake of also business scope, business discussion, I can tell you that when in a reward catalog, in a reward part of a program like this one, we are adding such a kind of social rewarding, the feedback and the response from the members is typically pretty high. So before jumping to the second part of this session today, where I'm going to bring in a bit of a technical analysis of what brands should be looking for in terms of, let's say, feature and function to support some of the concepts that we are raising here. Let me talk about this slide that is kind of condensating all the discussion we're going to have down to the end of the session. The virtuous member cycle, I like to name it. That is a cycle where the more brands are engaging end user and client, us, and the more us, we felt part of this community, we felt part of the brand awareness, we felt part of the environment that the brand is building, we are more likely releasing and sharing more data of us, zero-party data, to the brand. So as a matter of fact, the more the dialogue is okay, the more the dialogue makes us valuable, the more we are sharing data. It's a human kind of human being mentality or mindset. But then the second part of the cycle is coming that is much harder to implement, and is where the brand has to commit the commitment. That means up to now, they are gathering data of Mario. Now Mario really is requiring that the brand is using the data I share for the purpose for which I share that data. And so I'm really looking to get the level of personalization and contextualization that I deserve because the investment I did to share my data. And so here clients, the brands, should be really able with technicality, with the data insight, with an organizational aspect also, to come back to dialogue with the same end user, with the same client, with the same members in a much more personal way. And guess what? At the end of the day of this virtual cycle, everybody wins, and the Marios, being more personally touched by the brand, will be just making more transaction. That's something that is proved in the last year very easily. So let's now bring me the hat of the MarTech expert. And thank you, Carlos, for pushing the second poll here. You want to introduce that one?
Sure thing. So off the back of that last slide, I particularly like that framework. It's really interesting, and it shows you the full scope there, that it's not just about personalization in isolation. It's not just about omnichannel. It's about connecting it all together. But that very important point there around a move towards zero-party data and the value of data and what it means. So we wanted to find out a little bit more. What data are you primarily focusing on collecting in 2021? We'll give it a couple more seconds and then we will share the results.
Yeah, sure. And again, nothing wrong here too. So let's see. Okay, here I'm reading. Most of the brand here are still working on first-party data, and actually this has been the last 2 or 3 years wave, where we have been bombarded as a client, as a member, about opt-in requirement, and first-party data are absolutely data that we opt in for. And so it makes sense that at this stage, the 64, so almost 2 out of 3, are still relying mostly on first, even still working on second and third. But I see a rising close to 20% of attendees claiming they're going to go for zero-party data more and more in the future. What do you believe, Carlos? I mean, how can you read this data?
Sure. So, I mean, the first party doesn't really surprise me, I suppose. Obviously, the impending death of the cookie, although it's been extended by the extra year, although that's a whole nother webinar. So talk more about third-party cookies with Mario, but certainly expect people to be focused on first-party data. I think it'd be really interesting to fast forward 12 months, and I'd love to see how important zero-party data is at that point. I don't think it's going to overtake first-party data, but I would expect it to be massively above the 18% mark that we're seeing here. And I'd expect the second and third will have a place, but a different type of place. And I think, grow for first and zero in the year ahead. Yeah,
sure, I agree. So let's back to the last part of the conversation here. So here I'm highlighting 3-4 major percentages coming again from analysts and a bit from our experience, as well as from Carlos and Carlos' company, where I like to highlight 3 major concepts that are driving the rest of the conversation. Again, omnichannel. So 71% of members are claiming they're going to be using multiple channels from the start and the end of a typical interaction. And this is not just to be a purchase interaction, by the way. Number 2, members are expecting connected experience all the time, resiliency. And number 3, even if the channels are rising up in terms of numbers, they're still looking for consistency. They're not looking for a mess. They're not looking for different channel providing different kind of branding information. They're looking for consistency. So from my standpoint, what we typically used to do and how we can help with our platform in Snip to reach these kind of goals. But my advice for brand is really going to look for a MarTech vendor who can enable these 2 high-level concepts here. One is being able to activate member bidirectional communication in any available channel, This is reaching 2 main goals. Number 1 is the brand is opening a window for a member to talk anytime. In the pandemic situation, clearly, we all know the in-store and other channels have been almost driven down to 0 because of the lockdown. And so most of the communication was coming from other channels, typically the digital ones. Not even the digital channel was kind of preventing a member to make any dialogue, by the way, any acquisition or purchase, if not in a limited way, with not so good experience at the end of the day. Number two, I also believe that the brand needs to look for platform who is enabling the real value exchange with the member. That means a platform able to offer not only the typical earn and burn technicalities of a loyalty program, of an engagement program related to purchase activity in a different way, but also to reward consumer for their non-purchase activity. This is what we've been discussing in this session here. So we talk about a member sharing, reading, downloading, posting, reviewing, voting, etc., etc. And so following the track of a full engagement, not just related to purchase. And by the way, even the purchase can be online or offline, and it's not trivial to manage purchase offline for all the CPG companies and also retail companies who are working for franchisee or wholesale kind of business. So basically, let me bring to you an example of one nice client. We have been a longer relationship since 2013. This is the biggest department store in Ireland. And if you talk to them, one of the main elements, they're very pleased to still working with Snip Interactive, is our capability, thanks to a very robust backend that is consolidating consumer data, consumer activity, consumer interaction, and all the rules that you want to configure as part of a loyalty engagement program for the earn and burn within backend, regardless the channels consumers are using to interact with the brand. And with these guys, we are strongly working on the EPOS because of their retail store point of place, but also e-commerce as well as their mobile app. And logically, in the last 18 months, the two last, and mostly the mobile app, has been the channel more rewarded in terms of user experience from the end user standpoint. That was the first high-level comment. The second one is about data. Again, we are talking about consumer, we are talking about data, and we are talking the fact that brands should put the member at the very center of every marketing activity, marketing strategy, and the main aim of such a program is collecting and gathering data. So guess what? We advise brands to go and deal with technological companies who are offering an extensive, extendable, and flexible system to host, gather, store, and activate in real time every data a brand can store about consumer interaction, consumer activity, and including the deepest segmentation, clusterization, real-time functionalities to make data analysis of such data and react in a personal way against the data. But what we mean here is even more something more relevant for big brand, multi-organization, multi-country, multi-language, and aggregate of multi-brands within one. And I'm describing this and the experience that we are working for this other customer of ours, Leader in Shoe, where as a member, and if we talk about customer experience, why, if let's say we are all part of a loyalty program in Italy because we base here, but then for business or for pleasure, we go in, pick up any other country, we go in UK, and we find the point of sales of the same brand, we enter that point of sales, and guess what? Our experience as a member, as a customer is much different because we might not be recognized by the sales assistant. And eventually, even if we show our fantastic plastic card or digital card of our loyalty frequency and subscription, reply is, but you are registering to the Italian program, not to the UK program. Wow. Even more, again, and that's a business decision, we are working with this brand Leader in Shoe as many others, where the customer experience they want to offer to a member is not only multi-country, multi-language, multi-currency, but also multi-brand. guess a situation where you enter in another brand, part of the same conglomerate in another country, and you can use your promotion, you can use your accounting, you can use your point, or at least the acquisition you're going to be executing is then accounted back to your local account in Italy when you're back home. But even more, as an experience, the sales assistant is naming you Mario and is telling you hi and is managing you as a VIP for the conglomerate brands. Because of the history of you, they can read, they can understand, thanks to a very solid multi-org, multi-country, multi-platform, multi-brand loyalty program. Other segment, and we discussed already about this, the value sharing for the member. If you want to be managed and treated not just as a cash machine, and so we want to be rewarded also when we execute non-purchase activity and transaction with the brand has to work with a technological platform that enable such sense of earn and burn, not just related to a transaction. But even when we talk about transaction, while it's pretty easy to deal with e-post transaction or e-commerce transaction after having executed an integration with, what about the offline transaction? What about for a CPG? What about for the retailer working with franchisee or wholesale business, where the offline transaction will never come to the brand with the line item details required to really understand consumer behavior about internal SKUs, as well as consumer behavior about the best and the worst enemy, competitor to the brand. So for doing so, absolutely you need to partner with a technology that is on one side is supporting a smooth and easy integration with all the technology where transaction and non-transactional activity are coming, as well as is reinforcing the concept of being able to manage offline transaction. So the case here is about receipt-based or invoice-based transactions coming from the third parties, as well as I like to highlight this program that we just executed, launched 2 weeks ago in America, and you recognize the brand as part of a very big CPGs company, one of the biggest in the world, where we are offering members earn and burn activity, so to get a reward and to win points, not only when they send with a one-click receipt that proves the validation and support the validation of their acquisition, but also when they interact, when they send a picture of that loved dog or cat, when they reply to a survey, when they share first-party data replying to survey. So the overall engagement that we are creating with this program that we just launched 10 days back is absolutely encapsulating this concept of value-based reward or value-based promotion that is, again, not just tied and related to transactional activity. A second last comment, flexibility and extensibility. Logically, everybody would say, why not? But the real item here is, and it happens to us pretty frequently, when we are talking to brands who eventually have been starting working a loyalty or a extended CRM journey with other vendors, but actually they are a little bit failing in implementing such kind of customer experience because they can't easily and smoothly, without any change, increase the functionality and the effectivity of some user journey that they implemented because some technical gap. One nice example we like to mention is Yves Saint Laurent, nice brand, who came to us for getting a support in increasing their reach to get buying experience from the offline of their consumers when they were making acquisition of SKUs from Yves Saint Laurent. So for buying Saint Laurent product, you have to go to a nice mall, you go to Galeries Lafayette in Paris, etc. And so the problem of Yves Saint Laurent of not receiving line item information about this purchase experience was really a big gap into their emerging loyalty program. So actually they are partnering with us. They have been partnering with us since years, and we're helping them in increasing this capability of gathering in almost in real time offline purchase behavior, asking with a nice and smooth, easygoing, one-click, two-click max flow from the member standpoint to send through any available channel online, through email, through text, through a responsive portal using their mobile device, the proof of acquisition, meaning sending the receipt of the acquisition, and giving them a nice and extended reward catalog, also in this case based on some gift card supported by the SNP technology, with a matter of an easy API-based daily interaction that we executed for them. And the very last concept, and this is really the last mile of a good omnichannel loyalty program that follow the personalization, individualization concept. And this is where I see many brands still failing, the last mile. With the last mile here, I mean, the brand is actually personalizing the content, personalizing the message, personalizing the channel and the offer typology to the member, and the member is replying and is increasing his interaction as well as purchases with the brand. But then the reward the member is given is not really that personal. It's still a kind of eventually extensive catalog, but some kind of same to all, and just filtered or tailored by point or by cluster, and not really going down to the personalization level. That is the last mile of the commitment of that sense for the end user, for the final member. So we have a lot of experience, and we have a very extensive and third parties related or partner related reward catalog and capabilities, where, like in this case for Monster, for which we are executing ton of campaign along the year, at least in Canada and North America at this stage, where we are offering as part of the reward some kind of social content or social engagement. In this case, because of my age, I do not recognize Post Malone, but I've been told Post Malone is one of the best rapper, singer, and songwriter with tens of millions of followers. I can tell you Monster is still so happy about the reward percentage of such a promotion that we spin up and manage for them, where as part of the reward, you see, members were able to win a virtual experience with Mr. Post Malone. And so this is, again, a promotion tailored for a specific membership population in terms of age and willingness to receive kind of reward from the love brand. That was really, really working very well for both the brand. They're super happy about this promotion Monster executed, and for Monster, because logically the redemption was very, very high. And that's the most of it. And I'm so happy I did in 35 minutes as my commitment was. So very happy. I believe I did a good job, Carlos.
You did. Fantastic, Mario. That was packed. So little reminder to everybody, slide into the Q&A now. Hit us with your questions. This is your chance. Right, straight away. Cool, this is a punchy one. Is loyalty dead? I'm going to say Mario's probably going to say no.
That's I mean, that's a good question. I have to say no, otherwise we're kind of lost time here, everybody. But somehow I like to say that kind of loyalty should be dead. Yes, that kind of old way of loyalty should be dead. And logically, it's a kind of evolution stream, it's a kind of waves. Again, I'm not saying a loyalty program should not rely on selling more product or pushing offers, not at all. But what I'm saying is the whole concept or the whole way we saw loyalty program kicked off many, many years back, mostly in the utility business, gas and oils or telcos or kind of companies is over or should be also better aligned with this kind of newer way of engaging a member. But again, the real secret source to me is asking members. Is asking members how do they like or they dislike such kind of product only or more engaging interaction with the brand. But no, loyalty is not dead, hopefully. Otherwise,
you answered it perfectly as well. That type of loyalty.
That type of loyalty.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think picking up on that, I think the last mile point you made earlier is so important. So I loved your presentation, talking through thinking about personalization, relevancy, really making sure that program beginning to end is relevant. But if you forget in that final part that you need to make sure the reward is also relevant and also fitted to the audience.
Absolutely.
Right, let's jump in. How effective can gifting be to build relationships with customers?
You mean reward side?
So I think this specifically is talking about the gifting part. So looking at the actual gift, when you give that, how impactful is that on the relationship with the customer?
I mean, the gifting part is still very high. Logically, everybody likes to get gift, right? I mean, everybody like delight and surprise. That is one of the main element and scope of good engaging program. So you have to declare something, but you keep something as a secret in your pocket, and you just go for some specific gift to delight and surprise, if not everybody, a nice chunk of your audience, and eventually the VIP one based on every key point or KPI you want to analyze for. In terms of gift, if you mean gift with purchase kind of program, yes, people do love gift. People do love merchandising of the brand. And so people do love third parties merchandise related to the brands from which they are buying. So I believe it is still a very relevant, important factor. The main item here is what about the value of the gift compared to the value of the SKUs and the frequency of the SKUs. And so the average lifetime cycle transferred in economicals information that is driving, if you can, you cannot offer good gift. Gift has to be valuable. Offering not valuable gift at the end is a drawback of not having absolutely a good redemption rate.
I love that point on modeling based on lifetime value as well, that it's not instantaneous in that one transaction. I suppose the counterpart to that is looking out for the people that are hopping for offers that turn up and disappear. So have you got the right cohort of buyer that is the lifetime value? You
get the best gift every time for every brand, but you're not loyal. So you have to mix the acquisition phase, if you will, but then the returner phase. That's why acquiring by itself does not work for the long run. Logically, you have to acquire, but you have to keep, retain, and make the people happy to come back and back.
Absolutely. Got a great question here. In a world of receipt scanning, how does Snip engage with merchants so that they do not feel threatened by the brands building their own databases?
That's a very good point. And I've been asked the similar question twice in the last 10 days. So number one, there is nothing bad in preventing the brand looking for that data. And by the way, I was discussing last week with my client from a beer brand. And if I want to talk about beer, I like to talk to the brand producing that beer. Nobody more than that brand is really able to talk to me in a pertinent way. Is the brand I want to talk to just to understand what the next flavor will be and what the net value will be and how they brew the beer, et cetera, et cetera. So please let the brand creating this kind of dialogue with the end user. This is not stealing customer from the channel. Absolutely. It's creating more engagement. And if you do create more engagement, I'm going to buy back more frequently. Now, the real goal here is to create a win-to-win-to-win situation where the brand, the channel, and the end user, all of them are winning the same time. That means the brand is creating a bigger engagement, is creating the frequency of interaction, and then with an appropriate loyalty schema, with appropriate promotion, with appropriate reward, you are rewarding people to come back to increase the foot traffic into the given channel. We see many, many times, and we do support promotion and loyalty reward schema 50% of the time where the channel is part of the reward, either because you are spinning up a coupon that can be used on that specific channel. And so you are, again, bringing back the people, increasing the footprint of that channel, or because the channel is offering some added value services, can be free shipping, can be dedicated cash out queue, whatsoever. And so the secret sauce, again, is let the brand talk indirectly to the end user. Nobody more than the brand can talk about the product they create, but then create an engaging loyalty platform that also include in a partnership mentality, includes the third parties, the channels, and offer many channels as possible to the member to make interaction and to make purchase. Do not limit to one channel, do not limit to the DTC. DTC will take years to get to the same level to the channels, I presume. Not that I argue that, but I'm saying we are going to be buying more frequently along as many channels as we can for sake and for a win-to-win-to-win situation for all the three main actors here. And let's put the fourth actor, that is SNP, with the best technology to support you and dealing with a nice SNP receipt scanning technology.
I like that. Be where the customer is, right? Whatever channel that is, be present, be ready.
Keep the conversation high, keep the resiliency high, and give the more freedom to the member. And then partners with the channels, for sure.
We've got another great question here. Why do you think more organizations are not yet at the level of loyalty member maturity that you've walked through today? What are the common barriers to this?
That can be, number one, I believe brands are mostly talking about or thinking about themselves. While as a member, we used to buy too many brands, we used to buy different typology, different category of product. And so it looks like we are more expert in the acquisition phase than a singular brand. But it might be reflecting some kind of past activity, past decision, past experience. I mean, coming from legacy technology that are kind of creating a bit of barrier in having an easy way to interact with emerging technology and offering different channels in an omni-channel paradigm. Sometimes can be related to the decision standpoint. I mean, as a salesperson, we know that at the end of the day, there is a little set of people who are taking a decision. And we work the best with companies who are driven by good people, good decision makers, who are very open to innovation, who are very open to testing new technology, who are very open to endorse new way of making business. And as a technological provider actor, I really recommend members and brands to dialogue and talk as much as they can with the technology provider, because sometimes we come with good ideas that might not resonate for all of the brands out there, but good ideas that will keep the pace with the innovation, the technology.
I think that's exactly right. I think it's, no one's suggesting that technology does it all. You still need smart thinking, people, strategy, but at the same time, trying to build it when it exists and not embrace something that can take away some of that friction and challenge to take. Yeah. I'm sure we've all been there with the fantastic PowerPoint presentation internally, someone with a fantastic vision, but someone's got to make that happen, right? And often the part is then a technology piece and a personal people bringing that to life.
Absolutely. And you have to be courageous. You have to take decision, okay? Sometimes you have to be an innovator. Sometimes you have to follow the wave, but if you follow the wave, you might be coming late. You have to be courageous and eventually creating a good team and defining a good organization who can really help to take the right decision the right time or even before, if possible.
Fantastic. Mario, we are almost out of time. So I just want to say for everyone joining us today, a massive thank you. If we didn't get round to answering your question, not to worry, Mario and the SNP team will be in contact directly. You can also, as I mentioned earlier, follow Mario on LinkedIn and also do reach out. You'll be able to get access to a copy of the slides. But I just want to wrap up with saying, first and foremost, love the session, Mario. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And thank you for the attendance. And yeah, just come back to us and we'll be replying any pending question we did now. Thank you.
Great stuff. And a very big thank you to Snip for sponsoring this, making it possible. So that's all from us this week. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye-bye.